Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Buttholes. I'm doing my vocal warm-ups. Buttholes.
Gorilla Taxi.
Buttholes.
Condors in an airplane robbing a bank.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name isn't. It's Tom Ryan.
And we just watched Jim Henson's
The Cube.
The Cube. You all know The Cube. Classic Jim Henson film.
The Cube.
What is this place? What's it for?
We ask that question ourselves once in a while. Some people find it hard to believe, too good to be true, I guess.
But I don't understand why I'm
I thought you might not understand. That's why I dropped by. One thing I suppose nobody told you about the call button.
The what?
I thought not. It's right over here on the wall. If you need anything, just ring any time of the day or night.
Well, I never noticed this before.
Oh, yes, all the cubes. That call button was always here.
There are other cubes?
No, I didn't mean to say that.
Why not?
Well, it's not that you shouldn't know, certainly, but I just hate to mislead you.
But there are other places with people trapped inside them.
No, that's not accurate at all. No one is trapped. Some people seem quite content and stay. Of course, there are others who wish to leave, and if they really want to, there's no real problem.
Well, what do they do?
They just leave.
Yeah. So
Listen,
it's Thursday,
fuckers,
right?
It's Thursday, yeah.
Just checking in.
So that means we're doing a patron request.
That's correct. This is from Burrito Mouth. Thank you, Burrito Mouth. Burrito Mouth has been giving us Cube.
I guess thank you, Burrito Mouth.
Yeah. Well, it's only an hour long.
True.
Burrito Mouth gave us all the Cube movies, and then Gleaming the Cube, and now Jim Henson's The Cube.
And now Jim Henson's The Cube. I respect the hell out of the bit.
Yeah, and it's not over. There's at least 2 more Cube films.
I'm sure.
In our future.
I'm sure.
Yeah. This one is 1969. Nice.
Yeah.
Jim Henson, it was it aired on, it's technically a TV play. It's a TV play that aired twice in the 60s, late 60s and early 70s until he started to focus on, other things.
The stuff that Jim Henson is famous for. But yeah,
can you imagine if this really took off and he was just doing Cube stuff?
If you can watch, I think all of the films he made in college, you can see, they're pretty out there. Like, he was really experimenting with shit. And this movie, or this play rather, when you watch it, it really does. It is kind of ahead of its time. When I learned that it was 1969, it really surprised me.
Oh yeah, imagine the fucking stoned bastards watching this shit on TV. This is like the Adult Swim before its time, where it's like, oh, can you imagine just getting blazed out of your mind and then this coming on and you're like, what the fuck?
It might be the only way to watch it because it is an hour long. It took me over 2 hours to watch it.
All right, let's start with how we liked it.
Yeah.
I don't think this is... You're right, it's before its time, but I think it wasn't very good.
No, it's not very good. It reeks of, I'm 16 and this is deep.
Yes.
It's way more eloquent than that. Jim Henson's a good writer.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, the actual script is pretty good in terms of, like, the dialogue and how people interact with each other and stuff.
Right.
It is... It's beating an idea. It has an idea at its core that I think is a good idea, but it beats it to death for an hour. This could have been
a short film.
It should have been a Twilight Zone episode. In fact, I have seen this as a Twilight Zone episode or something very similar. It's not exactly this, but
for me, the biggest takeaway is this was a reminder that the people who made the Muppets are a bunch of stoned hippies, and like that, like the Muppets, much like a lot of children's programming, is for kids and stoned adults.
Yeah.
You know, like Adventure Time, etc., where it's like this, we've always done this.
Oh, yeah. No, Jim Henson was kind of he invented that almost.
Yeah, he's the pioneer of
pretty
this
much.
bullshit.
Yeah, I'm hard pressed to think of somebody before him that would be analogous.
Is this film available?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And I normally I'd be like, oh, that's a shame because people would want to watch the movie before listening to the podcast. This isn't one of those times. I don't think people need to watch this.
No, it's really, again, like I said, it's well written, but it is just one idea, and the idea becomes clear pretty early, and then you still have like 48 minutes left in this film. Yeah,
and boy, does it do some stuff that made me angry. We should go into the plot. This is basically the story of the worst escape room ever. It's a business prisoner in a
basically
cube.
It's like, gosh, there's so many. It's like Metamorphosis. There's so many things like this that I've either seen or read before. It's a guy wakes up in a cube. He has no memory of who he is or his life before this cube, and it's just a series of improbable characters come through the cube in like a whirlwind.
It's a series of audition tapes.
Basically.
Of people, coming in and doing bits and leaving. And, it's about what is reality, what is life.
Mm-hmm.
At one point...
And it's about, like, kind of the blurring of reality with your internal self.
Yeah, at one point,
that's like where it ends. But anyway,
it gets real meta.
Mm-hmm.
And someone just explains what it's about. A guy walks in and says, "Oh, we're in a TV play," and it's like, Christ. He also compliments it. It's like, way to pat yourself on the back, Jim. Yeah. He walks in. I found the quote. He walks in and goes, "Well, as I interpret what you're doing here, this is all a very complex discussion of reality versus illusion, the perfect subject for the television medium." And that pretty much sums up the TV play. It's just, what is reality?
And he's literally a prisoner of his own perceptions.
Yes. It wakes up with fucking Garrett Dillahunt wakes up in a suit. You notice that looked like him?
A little bit. It's definitely not him. Like, I don't think
I know.
He might not have even been alive.
Unless he's a vampire.
Yeah. No, it's an actor named Richard Shaw.
Yeah, that's what he wants us to think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a prison spa room. It's like checkered tile, but like very clearly they couldn't afford much for sets. So like when he bangs the walls, it's like wobbly.
You can see corners. You can see like equipment and stuff in the corners.
Yeah, it's a lot of like just a slight kick and you'll get out of this cube, buddy.
It's cube. They had a cube and they built it in the middle of a room and then they filmed that.
Yeah. And he's like very politely imprisoned.
Yeah.
He gets a stool. There's like handyman guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who
Arnie
comes in. Yeah. And he gives him a stool and he seems very helpful. And then that's followed by Batman's parents.
Sure.
Right? It's like rich, fancy people who are like, "We're late for the show." I'm like, you're going to get shot.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to get gunned down out.
Yeah.
After watching Zorro. And
they do a thing, and it's sort of the point, but like he keeps getting like politely kept in the cube because there's doors that go in and out. Mm-hmm. And from a logistics standpoint, it's like, dude, you need to like push your way through the door.
Right. We've seen how flimsy this wall is. Just dip your shoulder down and let that wall have it, man.
Yeah. But in the world, in the universe where we're led, we're supposed to think this cube is inescapable.
He's trapped, yeah.
They still do stuff where like the fancy people come in and they're like, "Come on, let's go. Oh, you forgot your coat." And he goes, "Oh," and like turns around and then they've already closed the door. And it's like, yeah, you don't need like pleasantries right now. You just need to body check your way through the door.
I will say that doesn't necessarily ring false to me because that's the premise of so many horror movies. Like, how many horror movies occur because people didn't want to seem rude?
Yes, but in this case, it doesn't quite work. because he's woken up in a cube prison.
Yeah. So you
And
figure as soon
people
as a
keep
door was
walking in
open,
and out.
you'd sprint towards it.
Yeah, and
I would
I know
throw babies out of my way to get to that door.
right later they make it clear that it wouldn't have worked.
No.
But I mean, again, this is like an art film, so like the fact that he's like not quite leaving is it's a heightened reality. No one's acting like a human.
No.
Including the main character, which I think is actually kind of a mistake for what they're trying to do.
I think he's mostly grounded.
Mostly, but in terms of the logistics of getting out of the cube, he has a lot of chances to get the fuck out of the cube. But the idea is later he's kind of conditioned to not leave it.
Well, yeah, when the guy finally comes in, it's like, all right, you got to get out of here. He doesn't trust him anymore.
That's the part that I enjoyed the most, because the gag is the gorilla gag. I thought was great.
Right, and it's clear that like the gorillas are just Jim Henson. Like they sound like Animal.
Yeah.
I'm
For
like,
people who
that's
don't
Jim
know,
Henson.
Obviously people don't know, near the end, by the time, because it's a series of like mind games.
Yes,
that they start playing with him.
It's like David. In the ending, I almost thought I was like, are they going to the game us? It's like David Fincher's The Game.
They one point
localized in an entirely
the game him.
In one room is what I meant to say.
Yeah, they do the game him at one point as they all come out and go, it's all a gag. It's almost like an interrogation. Like they're breaking him down mentally. So they do these techniques like, Pretty Woman comes in and like things keep appearing and disappearing, and then a couch appears. And a bar appears, and they start having a drink, and they kiss, and then immediately a bunch of doctors come in, and he's immediately dehumanized and humiliated. Because the woman gets up, and she's like clinical, and she's talking to the nurse, and she's like, "Ugh, next time you kiss the guy, this guy was bad." And the doctors are getting his vitals, and then they all hustle out. And the gorilla part is basically someone has like, "Get out," and he's like, "No, I'm not, because you're gonna trick me. I'm gonna walk out that door and like." 2 gorillas and tutus are going to drag me back and then dance around me. And he's like, come on, man, it's fine. And then he's like, look, all right, I'll do it, but I'm going to be mad if it's some bullshit. And he starts to walk out, and then sure enough, 2 gorillas and tutus drag him back in.
Come and fuck his shit up.
I thought that was a good gag.
Yeah. Plus it was just Animal. They just sounded like Animal.
Yes.
So that was delightful.
The strawberry jam is a thing throughout. There's the first stool has strawberry jam, right?
Right. That's because he uses his stool to smash this noisemaker at the end, and it's full of strawberry jam.
Right. So it's all a big loop.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's the handyman, then Batman's parents, then Alfred, otherwise known as Thomas the Manager. I was really hoping it would just stay that way. There'd be a Joker and like.
I mean, there are 2 clowns that come in and do an old vaudeville act. Yeah.
Yeah, business mimes. They talk about how there's other cubes, and they don't really get into that. It implies a plot that isn't there.
Well, I think it's like knowing who Jim Henson was and like the kind of shit he was into and like the kind of like his kind of philosophy. I feel like this movie is sort of like you just got to get out of your headspace, man. Like, it's like everybody has to find their own door. Everybody gets out of the cube eventually, but it's all, it happens different ways and in their own time. This is all the information we're given. And because it's about why it's like examining why are you so hung up on your perceptions, which is a very dude in college viewpoint. But I mean, the
cube is like life, man.
You're stuck in a prison of your own creation, and then you allow yourself to continue to be stuck in that prison because you are a slave to your perceptions and how you interpret things and how you feel like you need to fit into society.
And he says something like, I'm sick of all these games and this intellectual crap, and people keep changing and lying, and it's like, yeah, it's life. You're describing life.
You're describing life, man. Like, I know, like Jim Henson's like, y'all are phonies. It's like, well, yeah. You're gonna meet some people who say one thing and do another thing. That's the world.
Right.
Some people lie.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they have that one scene where the lady comes in and talks to him, and every time it cuts back to where she just gets older and older. It's a different actress.
Right, and that's where he's like, you keep changing, people keep changing. Like, there's literally people, like, transforming before him.
Yes.
It's like, it's dream logic. The whole thing's dream logic.
It's dream logic, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he gets a telephone, and at that point, I was like, oh, that's a pretty, like, free rent, free telephone, all the chocolate rabbits that you can have sex with. Like, it's not a bad cube.
Chocolate rabbits are full of diamonds, too.
Oh, yeah, they are.
But you got to be careful, though, because some Nazis will come in and take it.
Yeah.
Remember the one Nazi who fucking slipped?
Yeah.
At one point, too, they're not explicitly Nazis, but at one point, two, like, extremely fashy police officers come in that are also German. And one of them almost just eats complete shit on the floor. It is very funny. And it almost certainly was not intentional.
Right. Oh yeah. No, absolutely not. And then they're like, let's arrest him, and he's like, no, I didn't do anything wrong. And it's like, well, in the logic of this, let them arrest you because maybe then you get out of this cube.
That's the point, Dave.
I know. That's the point, man.
That's the point. He would rather not be taken away and stay in his own prison because it's what he understands.
I know. But it's still like, he still wants to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Of the cube, man. This stupid, wobbly cube.
Also, additionally, to be fair, I wouldn't want to go wherever these Nazis were taking me.
No, that's fair. That's fair. What would you say is the worst bit?
I don't know.
I didn't like Jared Leto with a bowl cut. The guitar guy.
Oh, I liked the musicians. I thought that was a fun bit.
It was a fun bit. I guess like just a feeling of pure dread when a man with an acoustic guitar walks into a room.
Yeah,
like in any situation,
right?
But
Anytime somebody whips out a guitar at a gathering, you're like, God.
Yeah, but especially in the 1960s.
Especially in 1969, when a dude strolls in with an acoustic guitar and a Beatles haircut, you're like, oh God. Fuck.
Yeah.
You're going to start singing to us about dragons and submarines.
Yeah. I liked the escapee. I liked that little mindfuck. Although he was like, my cube has squares, yours has rectangles. And it was like, they're kind of still squares, right? Like, they didn't look like rectangles.
It's perception, Dave.
Oh, damn it.
A square is a rectangle.
He got me again.
Yeah.
Also, leave it to Jim Henson to obsess over shapes.
Of course.
Like, that's such a Jim Henson thing. I'm surprised there wasn't a single fucking Muppet in this.
Yeah, I mean, we got close. We got the gorillas that sound like animal.
Yeah. Yeah, and he keeps trusting everybody who comes in. Then there's this is all a television play guy to be real meta, which in what this all represents, does that really work?
Kind of. If you're not 30 minutes ahead of the movie, I think it probably hits.
Okay, yeah.
Like if you haven't already figured it out and they're like, well, this is just a television play. You're like, okay, I don't even understand what end is up at this point. Like, I think that's the intent they had was to like
to meta them.
Right, to make you experience kind of what this guy is going through.
Right, and it's also the question, again, questioning what is reality. You go beyond the frame. And and then there's the guy who comes in and he's just like, he says this is a mausoleum to whiteness. Is he the only black character?
Yes, and he's actually credited as Black Militant.
That's perfect.
It wasn't it wasn't as cringeworthy as I was expecting.
No, it's another one where it's like, I'm not sure why this is in there. I would have put this on the cutting room floor.
Yeah,
but
I don't know why that was weird. That didn't make much sense.
It's exactly what it sounds like. A black militant looking man comes in.
Oh no, wait, I get it.
What?
He's in a prison of whiteness. Like, I get what he's saying. It's like he's just further commenting on the world and reality that he's constructed for himself. Yeah, 100%.
I also was like, you're right, black man. This movie is a mausoleum to whiteness.
It sure
you're
is.
Right.
It sure is.
That's what it is. It's this movie filled with a bunch of honkies, and then this one angry black man comes in.
It's a bunch of college ass kids who get, to fucking navel gaze on their parents' dime, while like plenty of other people have to just go fucking work as soon as high school is over.
And he's kind of the best character because he walks in and he's like, "This is bullshit."
Exactly. Like he basically just grabs. Is like, "You need to get the fuck out of this cube." Like this is entirely. He's like, "This is entirely of your creation. You need to just leave."
Yeah, he represents the audience in a way because he's just like, "Just here's the door. Get out."
Yeah, just leave.
Get out.
What are you doing? Yeah, and it's like, that scene in particular, but a lot of this movie made me think of the there's a really old Family Guy bit where he talks about like his uncle, one of his great uncles, who was a great philosopher, Thomas Griffin. And it's this guy, it's Peter sitting there in a chair, just staring off in his face with his hand on his chin, just thinking. And then his wife walks up and says, "Thomas, you need to get a job." And he says, "Why?" Like that's this entire movie.
Yes, and I'm at least happy that the movie at least represents characters who are aware of that.
Yes,
because there are a few parts where they're like, "This is bullshit. Mm-hmm. This is pretentious horse shit," and it's like, "No, you're not wrong, Jim."
It never got. I think this movie is self-aware enough, and Jim Henson himself was self-aware enough that it never felt super pretentious to me.
I'm a fan
beyond just being what it is, an hour-long art film about a man stuck in a single room.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Jim Henson, of course, but
yeah, obviously,
it's fun to make fun of him in the context of this movie because he is still just like the puppet-wielding hippie.
Yeah,
and that's fine. I mean, he helped raise me. It's I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's an extremely creative man.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like if I was sitting around like smoking a bong with him, I probably would be like, "You know what? I gotta go, Jim."
I don't know. Like I've heard stories like the Kermit the Frog was just a voice he would do in class.
Really?
Yeah, he'd be like, just to fucking make people laugh.
Yeah.
It's time to do the assignment.
It's a solid voice.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. It's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not if you haven't been conditioned to understand that that's Kermit for your entire life and you just hear that shit out of the blue.
Oh, yeah. That's just crazy. One of the first times I got high, my friend started doing Kermit the Frog at me and it just fucked me up.
Yeah.
And I knew what Kermit was.
Yeah. Imagine if you didn't have those defenses, if you didn't have a natural defense against Kermit the Frog voice.
Right. You build that shit up. It takes years.
Mm-hmm. You don't even think about how fucking wild it is anymore.
Yeah,
for a minute, just sit and think about how fucking out of control the concept of Muppets are.
Oh yeah,
that's one of my. Is this?
One of my favorite interviews of all time is Jon Stewart interviewing Kermit because multiple times he just breaks down in the absurdity of the moment. Mm-hmm. He gets really uncomfortable.
You want to talk to Kermit, not the puppeteer.
Not the puppeteer, exactly.
Yeah, you're looking at Kermit when you're speaking to him.
Yeah. Puppeteers are hilarious. I worked with puppeteers on a short, and they're very sensitive about being seen because of course they would.
That's the whole game, yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
And they you talk to the puppet, don't talk to them. And it's like, Christ.
It's not
just be a human.
Oh, when you're given direction, yeah, that's one thing. But
when you're anything.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're in the scene, yeah, talk to the puppet because that's the character.
Right, but it's the same way an actor will stay in character, so they're staying in puppet between shots,
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
And it's like
some exhausting ass. We already mentioned Jared Leto, but some exhausting ass Jared Leto.
Exactly.
Can you imagine fucking the De Niro of puppeteers?
What would that even
be? He just goes and sleeps in a felt factory for. It might be Alf. That guy's out of his mind.
That guy is absolutely out of his mind. Yeah. The guy. Go ahead and look up the behind the scenes of Alf if you haven't.
Yeah.
That set was horrible.
Yeah. The guy who Alf specifically was just a deranged madman.
I'm sure you've seen the outtakes where he repeatedly says the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
And by repeatedly, I mean rambles in succession.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That show, goddamn, what a show to work on. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
I was going to say, where are we in the film? But it doesn't really,
matter.
The business mime's going to... I wanted him to take that child hostage. He doesn't take a single hostage in his cube.
No, and all I could think about when that kid rode in on his like fancy little tricycle, I was like, this kid is like 60 now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's like, I was in the cube. And people are like, what's the cube? And he's like, never mind.
It's a Jim Henson movie, you know. No.
You know, the cube. The pallbearers come in and they put down a casket. And I'm pretty sure the pallbearers are the band from earlier.
Yeah,
and
most people play multiple roles in the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Like at the end, like when they, right at this scene, when like people pop out of the casket and they reveal it's a party, and like he points to one of the women and he's like, I bet you're not even really a woman. And the person takes off their wig and it's the mailman.
Right.
Yeah, that's just it. Like,
everything is everything.
Right. Like, I think everybody plays at least, well, not everybody, but most of the people play a couple of different characters.
Right. And it works, but it's also probably good for limiting your cast.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think the two business mimes are the two Nazi cops.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get that on their fucking resume. Business mime and Nazi cop.
They're probably both dead, but yeah.
Most of the people involved in this film
imagine
have
it's on
passed.
their resume. Yeah. I mean, this was fucking half a century ago.
Yeah, that kid's probably dead too.
He might be. Who knows? Who knows what horrible accident might have befallen him in the last 5 decades?
Yeah, you don't need to know this, but yes, Jim Henson is credited as Gorilla's voice.
Well, yeah, of course.
I was just looking at the cast. There was nobody that like popped out, right? I'm sure
not really. A couple of people were Muppeteers. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I see, like someone did a CSI on this list. That means, let's see, who's alive here. I'm not gonna try to figure that out.
Almost no. I'm sure like no one.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. The Cube is currently unavailable on at least on Amazon.
And again, you're not gonna. We saw a special copy. That's what I'll call it. And a copy that was provided to us.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't think people need to see this to understand what we're describing.
It's clearly airing on something. It might even be on his website, because there's like at the end of the credits, there's like a modern Jim Henson Studios tag with the fucking URL at the bottom. I'm like, all right, this was not 1969, but
it was in fact performed as live stage adaptation in 2007 by a German fringe theater group called Glass Booth. So, you can check that out. It's also based on a short story, apparently, called The Squirrel Cage, or it's at least very similar. So I guess just read The Squirrel Cage. You know?
I mean, it's like Metamorphosis, too. It's like a lot of
things.
What is it, like 5 strangers in a room or something? There's a couple of Twilight Zone episodes that are like this.
It's one of those where, like, when it starts, you're like, okay, is this going to be literal, or is it going to be a big artsy motherfucker? It's the latter.
It's a bit of both, but more the latter.
More the latter, because so he's presented with the coffin and a gun, and I'm like, oh, use that gun. Take the kid hostage, you fool.
As soon as he puts the gun to his face, I was like, fuck yeah, Jim Henson in college.
Yeah.
He made an animated feature in college, or not an animated feature, animated short in college about like nuclear war or a bomb, a nuke detonating in America, and it's fucking horrifying.
Yeah. I'm sure his college stuff is way better than, say, George Lucas's.
Have you seen his like the first time he did Cookie Monster? It's like I feel like it's like an IBM ad, or there's like a short I think he did even before that, where it's like one of the earliest examples of the Muppets. It's pretty wild.
I've definitely seen early Muppets, and it's always horrifying because it's like we don't have the budget, so we're just throwing a bunch of bullshit on our hands.
Yeah,
and it's horror, a horror show. So then he shoots himself and nothing happens. Jam comes out?
It squirts him with ink.
Oh, it's ink.
Yeah.
And then everybody jumps out and they're like, yeah, you did it. It's all a joke. And that's when he's like, all right, fuck this. Fuck you.
He punches a guy. He punches a guy. He chokes the manager for a second.
Yeah, and they all have it coming. And he gets to kind of the moral. Is he's like, I know who I am. I don't know what bullshit you guys are pulling. Everybody's full of shit and lying and changing, but I know who I am, god damn it. And it's like, all right, sure. And it's the idea of like reality. I'm reality. Like nothing else matters. It's me.
Reality.
It's my perception.
Yeah, it's entirely perception.
Yeah, it's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a man who's going to walk out that fucking door. And he walks out the door, and he is in a hallway, and then
it's like the apartment building it's like Dana's apartment building from Ghostbusters.
It is, yes. It is wherever they had available.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's just the same studio with like, you know, a little hallway set up.
Yeah, it looks good though because it's all white, so it looks dreamlike. And then this like dude comes out and he's like, "Good job." Not a lot of people take a while to get out, and it's like, and it's still, you can't quite tell if he knows, if he knows who he is now or what happened. And then the guy's like, just let's go into my office and I'll need you to sign some papers. And he does it, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't follow that man anywhere. But again, I couldn't tell how aware he was of what had happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into the office and he's like, I just figured it out. I'm the real one. You know, I can feel things. If I get cut, I get hurt. And he accidentally cuts himself, and he's like, oops, I actually am bleeding. And the guy's like, taste it. And he tastes it, and he's like, it's jam! No! And then that's how it ends.
Yep, everything
he turns back into the
office
cube.
disappears, yeah, and then he's back in.
He's back in the white holodeck. And so I would assume the moral there is we can't really trust ourselves either. We might be filled with jam. Like, what is perception? It's not our bodies. It's not our physical bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you take from the stupid jam ending where his blood is jam?
It's the same thing I've been saying. Like, reality is entirely based on perception, so the only thing that really matters is your internal self.
Right. That's what I'm saying, too, is that his body is also not reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That there's something beyond the body is the point.
Yes.
What do you think? What is your favorite? If we talked about like the different versions of that, they keep like being like, it's all a game or this. What was your favorite version of that? Like what it could have literally been? Not that that's the point of the movie.
I don't know. I don't know that I thought about it because what the game was became so clear to me so quickly.
Oh yeah.
I never really thought about like, well, what could this be if what this person was saying was literally true?
I honed in on it. This is why I'm asking it, because there was one that popped out that I was like, that would have been cool. Where the guy comes in and he's like, the time that the guy the gorilla part, where he's like, okay, your time's up, you got to leave, and the wording of your time's up, and he's like, we got other people to go in here. You can book another session. And I really liked the idea that in the future there was like the equivalent of one of those sensory deprivation chambers that separates you from your identity. That would have been a cool sci-fi idea. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if people were paying and they're like, yeah, let me do an hour, and the hour just fucks you up.
Yeah,
mentally.
It's what's the name of that game that Morty plays in Rick and Morty, where he lives an entire life as some guy.
Roy?
Roy, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a VR version of Roy in the VR Rick and Morty that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Where it's like it breaks you down, and it's like I thought that would have been a cool idea if the moment he left the room he was like, "Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. I remember everything now. That was great." That was really recalibrating. Like if it was just a really casual futuristic therapy that people did. I thought that would be the coolest. Like, you know, the movie very, like we've said, like you learn pretty quickly, like there's not going to be a literal interpretation of what this cube is.
Mm-mm.
I also like the old man who like just peeps his head in and he's like, what if you're dead? And then leaves.
Yeah. And then
it's like, all right,
off.
check.
It's like, all right, thank you for blowing my entire mind.
Let's check that one off the box. Cause that's one people always say, right? In like movies where it's a group of people who don't know how they got there. one asshole was always like, "What if we're dead?"
Yeah, what if we even did this to Tam? Oh no, wait. Wait. Wait until Lost comes on TV.
Lost. You think J.J. Abrams saw this and he was like, but a whole TV show?
No.
Just, yeah.
No, because he didn't think that far ahead.
No, he really didn't. Oh, that show. That's a show.
Mm-hmm. That is a show. That is a television program.
How would you rank this with the other Cube films? The classic Cube.
Okay, I think this is third behind Cube and Gleaming the Cube.
Okay, part of the Cube series that everybody knows. So the Cube, then Gleaming the Cube, then this, and then would you go with Cube, 2, and then Cube 0?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like the right order, right? The Cube, Gleaming the Cube, Jim Henson's The Cube, Cube 2, and Cube 0 of the Cube films. Here's the thing. Gleaming the Cube, also an exploration in what is reality, if not to skateboard, you know?
Yeah. That's the only time your perceptions are real is when you're gleaming the cube.
Exactly. It's hard to rank it with the rest because it's the part of the series that kind of deviates the most from, what the vision of the series is.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the Cube and Gleaming the Cube are two very different moods in terms of things I want to watch. So, but you would put this third.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It feels like a third.
Mm-hmm. Feels like a number 3, yeah.
Yeah. God damn it.
I don't know what else to say, man.
I was about to say, I think I'm looking at my notes, and I pretty much exhausted it. I mean, it is a bad movie.
It's
like, I think and I'm okay saying that because I do like it when people who I consider like creative geniuses make crap, because it means there's hope for everyone.
Yeah, of course. Nobody's out there batting 1,000.
Yeah. And it's like, this is early, just fucking stoner Jim Henson.
Yeah, just trying some
reality
shit out. Yeah.
For a fucking hour.
Mm-hmm. That's really that's the part that makes this really unenjoyable.
I am so glad it's only an hour, because it's the longest goddamn hour.
It was
ever.
a long hour, man.
Why did it take you so long? Did you have to just keep stopping it?
Stop it and back it up because I would just zone out and not be paying attention?
Yes. I made a note early on. I was like, Dave, you pay the fuck attention. I drank a coffee. I focused because I was like, I do not want to watch any of this a second time.
Yeah.
Because it's all a white room and motherfuckers coming in and saying a bunch of bullshit at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, oh, Christ.
Isn't this a predicament? And then they leave.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really could just 20 minutes. 20 minutes at the most,
yeah.
Jim.
The fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Fuck's your problem.
Fuck's your problem, Jim Henson.
Yeah, you piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. 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 I'm sick of your bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We can stop.
I think we probably can stop.
This is an hour long. I keep calling it movie, but like a TV show.
It's a film. It's a play. I don't know.
Play. It's TV play. TV play. So we're not going to give it as much time as a movie, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when, as you guys can probably tell, very little happens. Like, this would be an exhausting play, right? To see.
Yes.
I guess that's the thing about this is again, your Liquid Televisions, your Adult Swims, it really is ahead of its time. And the idea of being high and watching TV and some bullshit coming on, you're like, what the fuck? There is that, there's meta jokes, there's levels of humor that I guess probably were funnier back in the day. I bet this blew a lot of minds because it is ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm. Or people just watched it and were like, I don't understand that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Went on with their lives.
Oh yeah. I can imagine a lot of older people just tuning in because this is back when TV just forced you to watch.
Yeah.
Where they're like, you have 3 options.
Appointment television. There were 3 channels.
Yeah. Imagine if you're like there's some shitty sitcom on one, there's like a baseball game, and then there's this, and you're like, ah, fuck. Like,
I mean, I'd be watching the baseball game.
Yeah, I would too. Like, it's like, no wonder it only showed twice. I'm surprised it actually ran twice. Because I feel like they'd get like calls, the network, people like, what is this? Shut this off.
Yeah.
My life. We all die when we're like 50. We're all just like, you know, we're working miserable jobs. I don't want to come home to this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I guess what I was getting at is I wonder if, people felt the length, even like even if I was high watching this, I feel like I would have fast forwarded it a bit because if you're high and watching this, it would feel like a fucking eternity.
Yes.
All right. That's all.
Yeah.
I would say if you're a Jim Henson fan, go watch it, find it and watch it. Otherwise you probably don't need to watch it.
No, you can live the rest of your life.
Yeah.
We've done it for you. We jumped on that grenade for you.
It's not going to blow your mind. Mm-mm. What would you say if someone wants to explore like the question of what is reality? What should they watch? Yeah, it's a tough question, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like this. I mean, any of the things that I mentioned,
or just like The Matrix.
Yeah, The Matrix, fucking Blade Runner.
Open your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking. You know what? Watch Groundhog Day.
Sure.
I think that's all these movies. You could just watch Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at a list of them. They put on The Butterfly Effect. Remember that movie, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
That was a movie.
It's a film.
Yeah. Source Code.
Yeah.
This list wants me to watch Source Code. Yeah. We should probably go.
We should be done. Yeah.
Hey, Burrito Mouth. Thank you so much for continuing the bit. This was painless. Like, again, this is an hour. Like, you didn't hurt me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We're fine. We're in one piece. So thank you for this. I'm excited for the next Cube movie, and then the next Cube movie after that, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
This was done through our Patreon, and if you're interested, you can go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. If you go on there, you can find exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac, as well as our new show, Star Trek The Next Futurama. There's a new episode of that on our Patreon right now.
There sure is. We also have a store at tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed where you can get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out.
Check it out. And watch Waking Life.
Yeah, watch The Fountain.
Ooh, I love The Fountain. Someone make us watch The Fountain. Tom. You know what? I hate to spoil it. In like a month and a half, you're gonna get to see Gosford Park, my friend.
Oh, good.
We're gonna be watching Gosford Park.
Finally.
So everybody be stoked for Gosford Park.
Yeah.
You want to talk about nature of reality? Gosford Park.
Gosford Park, man. It's all about
Yeah.
Opening up the doors of perception.
Mm-hmm. That's every time I look at Michael Gambon, like that, my mind is blown.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he is even more part of the universe every time I see him.
Yeah, he is the cube of people.
Truly, yeah. Who else would earn that superlative but Michael Gambon?